Hi ladies, welcome back for another video. I am so excited that you are here because today I'm talking all about how to go from girl to grown woman and finally step into your womanhood. I just turned 28 a few days ago and I am truly grateful for all of the lessons and experiences that I've had over this past decade. There are so many lessons and mistakes that I made that I wish I would have known so much sooner. So that's why I'm making this video so you can be more prepared to step into womanhood and not have to go through all of the mistakes that I made. A few years ago, I had an epiphany and I realized that I was still making some of the same mistakes that I made when I was 18, 19 years old. Then I started to ask myself, is this how I want to continue to live my life in my late 20s, in my 30s, and beyond? What I've noticed is that a lot of people live their lives on autopilot, repeating the same decisions, the same mistakes, the same cycles over and over again, not questioning their choices. That's what I noticed about myself when I was younger. I was just going with the flow, didn't have a clear vision for my life. I didn't really question my decision making. I made the same decisions over and over again and then wondered why my life didn't look the way I wanted it to look. I was doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. But what I've learned is that if you want a different result, you have to start doing things differently. And that starts with questioning your choices, questioning where you currently are. Let's take dating for an example. A few years ago, I was in a relationship and then I realized that I was still making the same mistakes in this relationship that I made in my relationships when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I asked myself, if I keep doing the same things and continuing down this same path, would I be happy 5 years from now? If I stayed in this relationship that I knew wasn't fulfilling, would I be happy with myself and with my decisions years from now? When we're younger, we're just kind of going with the flow. But as we get older, questioning our decisions and getting more intentional about the way we want our lives to look is so crucial. For years, I stayed stuck in the same cycles because I didn't know how to introspect. I didn't know how to look inward. I started blaming everything else outside of me and my circumstances for the decisions that I was making on my own. You are the co-creator of your life. There is a reason why God has given you free will. Don't allow your circumstances and your repeated patterns to keep you from using the free will that God has freely given you. You have the power to make choices and decisions that will lead you to where you're trying to go in life. As a woman, it's so important for you to start questioning your decisions, questioning your daily routines, your daily actions, asking yourself every single day, is this what I want my life to look like? Would the future version of me be doing the things that I'm doing right now? That is why having a vision for your life is so important, because the Bible says, commit your ways to the Lord and He will establish your plans. Having a crystal clear vision for your life gives you guidelines, directions, it gives you focus. When you have a crystal clear vision for your life, it makes it so much easier for you to repel anything that isn't aligned with your vision. For example, if you desire to be in a healthy, happy marriage one day, then entertaining situationships and unequally yoked relationships, those don't align with your future. Those don't align with your vision. When you have a clear vision for your life, it's easier for you to make decisions that's going to lead you forward instead of leading you backwards. But it all starts with questioning your beliefs, your patterns, your daily decision making. The next point is radical acceptance, taking full responsibility for where you currently are in life. So many people make the mistake of spending the rest of their lives bitter, angry, hateful because of things that happened in their childhood, things that they couldn't control. And I'm not saying that childhood trauma isn't real, because it is real. And I talk about that a lot on my channel, but it's your responsibility to do the healing work as you become an adult. It's your responsibility to get the healing and the help that you need as an adult. It's your responsibility to make the best of your life the rest of your life. I've known so many people who spent a good majority of their lives being bitter and angry and miserable because they never learned how to forgive. They never learned how to let go of all of the hurt and the pain that they went through growing up. It's not your fault what happened to you, but it is your responsibility from here on out to get the help that you need to become the woman who you are destined to be. Living in the past is only going to create more of the same negative emotions, the same hurt and pain from the past, and hinder you from truly creating the future that you want. This may be a hard truth to accept, but continuing to blame your parents or blame the past for where you currently are in life isn't going to bring you the results you're looking for. Little girls, they blame their parents when they don't get what they want. They have temper tantrums, but grown women, we accept responsibility for where we currently are and we make a plan on how we're going to move forward. Forgive the people who hurt you, forgive your parents, and set yourself free. What decisions can you start making today that will lead you closer to your vision? When I was a little girl, my dream was to be a singer, an actress, and a fashion designer. I wanted to be a triple threat. I've always seen myself in the spotlight, being a star. But as I got older, I started to grow more and more discouraged and self-conscious because I didn't have any support from the adults around me. I was told often that I would never be a singer, or I needed to get a real job or get a real career. All of these things stuck with me, and it created a lot of anxiety and self-consciousness within me. I remember when I competed in my elementary school talent show, and I ended up winning first place from singing The Climb by Miley Cyrus. I really loved that song at the time. And I just remember coming home feeling so excited and happy, but the people around me were kind of making fun of me and making jokes saying, "Oh, you stole that trophy." And I didn't really feel supported when I came home. I didn't really feel like people were truly happy for me. And even at school, some people were jealous because I won instead of another girl. And there was a group of people saying, "Oh, I only won because I had a dress on." I didn't realize how much all of those comments affected me until I got a little older and started struggling with self-doubt, discouragement, and anxiety. I blamed the people in my life and my circumstances for why I wasn't where I wanted to be. But through prayer, journaling, inner work, asking myself deep questions, getting to the root of my insecurities, it was through really working on myself that I was able to start taking acceptance and responsibility for where I was in life. Yes, it hurt me to go through most of my life feeling like a failure, but it was up to me to do the work to heal. It was on me to heal from all of the discouragement and the anger and frustration that I felt growing up. Fast forward years later, I started singing again, and then I competed in another competition. And hold on, let me show you. This is kind of heavy, but I want to show you that this is a plaque that I won years later in 2019 from a vocal competition. I won first place in this vocal competition in 2019. And this competition changed my life. It changed my confidence. It changed the way I saw myself. And I'm so grateful for all of the inner work that I did to even make it to this point, because for years I went through so much discouragement. For me to go through all of the discouragement, all of the defeat, feeling like a failure, to now winning a competition that came with a cash prize, lots of performances after. I would have never won that competition if it wasn't for me taking radical acceptance for my life and deciding to do things differently, deciding not to allow people's negative opinions and thoughts about me to control how I feel about myself. And that also goes to show that sometimes in life, rejection is just redirection. Rejection is God's protection. Sometimes we may plan to do things our way, but God has a different plan in store for us. I wanted to be a singer like Beyonce, Sierra, always traveling, always on the road. But the way I'm living my life now, that vision wouldn't have aligned with the way that I'm living my life now. And God is so good because I've still been able to use my voice in so many different ways. I've been able to still have performances, still sing, be a singer, but just not in the way that I expected when I was a little girl. Now I get to use my voice to not only sing, but I also get to use my voice to teach, and inspire. We may plan to do things our way, but God knows what's best for us. And this leads me to my next point, which is to learn the lesson when you're going through hard times. I've learned that whenever you go through hard times, difficult situations, there is always something to be learned in that situation. Sometimes we think that God is punishing us, but He's really disciplining us because who He disciplines, He loves. God disciplines us because He loves us. We're His children. Everything isn't going to always be easy. We're going to have times in life where it's going to feel like we're being stretched. It's going to feel like we're being crushed, but it is the crushing of the olives that produces the oil. Your anointing comes from all of the hard times that you've gone through, but you don't get the wisdom if you don't get the lesson. When you learn lessons and apply those lessons to your everyday life, that is how you gain wisdom, through experience. So the next time you're going through a difficult season, start asking yourself, what can be learned here? What lesson can I take away from this difficult moment? And when you start journaling and reflecting on all of the lessons that you're learning, you're building wisdom, you're building strength, you're building your testimony to be able to share and minister to other people. The last point for this video is focusing on your health and wellness, because as a woman, as we age, our body changes and we need different things, different nutrients as we get older. The foods that you used to eat at 18, 19 years old, they don't feel as good when you turn 29, 30 and beyond. Your energy, your aura, your vibration, it all stems from the food that you're putting into your body. I've learned to start tuning in with my body, paying close attention to the foods that make my body feel good and the foods that don't make my body feel good. As a grown woman, it's so important to start prioritizing foods that make your body feel good and energized, and not just foods that make your taste buds feel good. For me, I've noticed that when I go long periods of time without dairy, sugar, and some meat, I notice that my body feels so light and energized. My periods are easier, my mood is better. Everything just feels in flow when I'm eating whole foods, organic foods, healthy foods. When I'm eating a lot of sweets, junk foods, or fast foods, I physically feel weighed down. And another tip that's been really game changing for me is cycle syncing. And if you've never heard of cycle syncing is just understanding the 4 phases of our menstrual cycle. We know about our period, but our cycle is much longer than just that one part. The entire menstrual cycle on average is 28 days, and it's broken up into 4 phases. You have the menstrual phase, the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. Every phase of your cycle is different. In each phase of the cycle, we have different emotions, different energy levels. We crave different foods. Our body just needs different things in each phase of the cycle. In the follicular and ovulation phase, we have more energy, more vitality, more creativity. We can do longer workouts. We can socialize more. We have more creativity because our estrogen is higher. During those phases, we're meant to be more productive. In the luteal and menstrual phases, those are the phases where we're more introverted, we have less energy, we want to rest and slow down. It is perfectly okay to slow down and rest when you're on your cycle or when you're about to come on your cycle, because that is your body doing what it's designed to do. For years, I would be so frustrated and angry with myself for being on my period, but there are so many great advantages and benefits to understanding your cycle as a woman. This isn't sponsored, but I highly recommend the 28 app. This app really helps me understand cycle syncing, and it really helps me understand my emotions and what I need during different phases of my cycle. Having this app helps me really connect with my body and my feminine energy. Well, ladies, that is it for this video. I really hope and pray that this video has blessed and encouraged you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.